All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. All right, so I want to do a Tara Pasha, but it's more so other Ketubic writings. This is Legends of the Yehudim. Um, this is the story of the Exodus of Masha. I wanted to read this. It's a very good read and very worthy to be posted online. So to go into it, this is chapter 2, subtitled The Other Commandments Revealed on Sinai. And it says this: After Israel had accepted the first commandment with a year, Elohim said, as you have now acknowledged me as your sovereign, I can now give you commands. You must not acknowledge the gods of other nations as such, for they bring no advantage to those who adore them. This you must not do while I exist. I have given you my Torah in order to lend sovereignty to you. Hence, you must not kindle my wrath by breaking my covenant through idolatry. You must not worship dead idols, but him who kills and restores to life, and in whose hand are all living things. Do not learn the works of other nations, for their works are vanity. I, Yahweh your Elohim, or I, Yahweh Elohim, or rather, Yahweh Elohim, whatever. It's the same thing as Yahweh Elohim, but I, the eternal, or the self-existent one, your Elohim, rule over zeal, and am not ruled by it. I wait until the fourth generation to visit punishment, but those who love me or fear me will I reward even to the thousandth generation. All right. So already starting off, we have a very good read. The Most High's first things he's telling us: do not serve or acknowledge the gods of the nations. But this Torah is help us. Is basically it gives us sovereignty. I have given you my Torah in order to lend you. In order to lend sovereignty to you. So when we keep the Torah, we're able to be sovereign, free from slavery and free from, other national affinities and things like that, or being in leagues with other nations. We are our own nation. We don't have to answer to anyone. Is what that sovereign means. So you are your own people. You have your own royalty. You have your own nation, your own culture. You don't answer to anybody else's culture or people or whatever the case. So that's what he said. I have given you my Torah in order to lend sovereignty to you. Hence, you must not kindle my wrath by breaking my covenant through idolatry. Otherwise, we will lose our sovereignty, which is what happened here in America, as they call it. The migrants that came over here to serve the Most High, they broke his Torah and they lost sovereignty. You must not worship dead idols, but him who kills and restores to life, and in whose hand are all living things. So that's the person you serve. The one who kills and restores to life. He takes away life and he gives you life, you know? So death is not something to be afraid of because he can kill and he can bring back to life. And in whose hands are all living things. That's a big claim, you know what I'm saying? And that's why when I started reading the Torah with a good intention in my heart, my 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 thing was always the Most High is always making very large claims that He is the true Creator, and in my hand, all living things are in my hand. Those are big claims. That means no other gods have power over Him. All living things, even the gods, are in His hands. Those are big claims, and that's why I started putting it to the test. Because if you're gonna believe something and you're gonna follow something or follow a God, you follow Him fully. You follow him fully, and whatever happens, right? You know. So you put your life on it. You put your existence on it. You know. I put my God against your God. Whose God is the true one. You have to do things like that when you're talking about a world where there are many different types of systems and religious, what as they call it, religious cultural beliefs and things like that. You have to do things like that in order to get to the truth. Otherwise, it's just being content in preference. Whatever the case, let's continue on. When Masha or Musa heard these words, according to which Elohim or Elohim would visit upon the descendants the sins of their fathers only if the consecutive generations were one after another sinful. He cast himself upon the ground and thanked Elohim or Elohim for it, for he knew it never occurred among Israel that three consecutive generations were sinful. So it was never like they were always, bad. They always had bad runs, but mankind as a whole have bad runs. It just get worse and worse and worse. But Israel would always, they would bounce back at some point. You know. All right. The third commandment reads, O my people of Israel or Yashara'el, none among you shall call the name of Yahweh in vain. For he who swears falsely by the name of Yahweh shall not go unpunished on the great judgment day. Swearing falsely has terrible consequences, not only for the one who does it, but it endangers all the world. For when Elohim or Elohim created the world, he laid over the abyss a shard, on which is engraved the ineffable name, that the abyss may not burst forth and destroy the world. But as often as one swears falsely in Elohim's or Elohim's name, the letters of the ineffable name fly away. And as there is then nothing to restrain the abyss, the waters burst forth from it to destroy the world. This would surely come to pass if Elohim or Elohim did not send the angel Ya'ashriel, who has charge of the 70 pencils, to engrave anew the ineffable name on the shard. All right. I kind of get an example of this. When I was in the Philippines, they say the name of the Most High is Yahweh. Sometimes they say Ayawa. So they know the name of the Most High, but they say it's the name of the devil or it's the name of Satan. That's how they it's a swear word. It's a curse word. So you're swearing whenever you are angry about something or someone or something, whatever the case, you say Yahweh or Ayawa. Them saying it's a Tagalog word, they don't know it's a Hebrew word also. So in Hebrew it's the name of the Most High, Yahweh, but it's a swear word. So when I went to the Philippines for the first time in 2014, it never stopped raining. Every day, every moment of the day, it was pouring down raining, and then that's when people started getting concerned. Yo, it's raining too much. It's raining more than the typical. Like it was about something was about to happen to the land. It was about to melt into the water or something. And I was on an aisle, and they was extremely concerned. So I now reading this to help me understand. They're saying using the Most High's name vainly and saying it's a Tagalog word, it's a name of a devil or something like that. So they were just either ignorant or some of them were not ignorant. They were just saying it anyway, even though they were being taught that it's not an evil name. So if you go to the Philippines, be careful to when you say Yahweh or say the Most High's name, Yahweh or Yahweh or Ayawa, whatever the case, even Yahuwah. They say Yahuwah on purpose because it gives a different phonetic sound. So it doesn't sound the same as Yahweh, but it's the same thing. They just take the hey out of it. They take the life out of it. So when you spell it, it's Yawa. But in the Hebrew, it's Yahwah. If you were to translate that with the characters, Yahweh or Yahweh. So they put his name in vain all the time. So it's like y'all about to drown out here. So that's something to understand. I kind of observed that. Uh, Continuing on, Elohim said then to Israel or Yashara'al, if you accept my Torah, my instruction, and observe my laws, which is the same as instruction, if you accept my instruction and observe my instruction, I will give you for all eternity a thing most precious that I have in my possession. And what replied Israel or Yashara'al is that precious thing, which you will give us if we obey your Torah, your instruction. Elohim, the future. Oh, Elohim says basically the future world. Yashara'al says basically, but even in this world, should we have a forestate or foretaste of that other? Elohim or Elohim says the Shabbat will give you this foretaste. Be mindful of the Shabbat on the seventh day of the creation of the world. For when the world was created, the seventh day came before Elohim. So that was like the character Zayin. So the seventh character, which is Zayin, which is the seventh number, uh, was for the seventh day. Zayin came forth. All right, for when the world was created, the seventh day, Zayin came before Elohim and said to him, "All that you have created is in couples. Why not I?" Whereupon Elohim replied, "The community of Yashra'al shall be your spouse." Of this promise that Elohim had made to the 70 day, to the 70 day, he reminded the people on Mount Sinai when he gave them the fourth commandment to keep the Shabbat Kodash, as to say, sacred or set apart to undefilement. When the nations of the earth, when the nations of the earth heard the first commandment, they said, "There is no king that does not like to see himself acknowledged as sovereign." And just so does Elohim desire his people to pledge to him their allegiance. At the second commandment, they said, "No king suffers a king besides himself, nor does the Elohim of Yashra'al." And the third commandment, they said, "Is there a king that would like to have people swear false oaths by his name?" At the fourth commandment, they said, "No king dislikes to see his birthday celebrated." But when the people heard the fifth commandment, "Honor your father and your mother," they said, "According to our Torah or our instruction, if a man enrolls himself as a servant of the king, he thereby disowns his parents." Elohim says, basically, however, make it a duty to honor father and mother, truly, for this is honor due to him. So, however, the Most High makes it a duty to honor father and mother, truly, for this is honor due to him. It was with these words that the fifth commandment was emphasized: honor your parents, to whom you owe existence, as you honor me. Honor the body that bore you and the breast that gave you suck. Maintain your parents, for your parents took part in your creation. For man owes his existence to Elohim, to his father, and to his mother, and that he receives from each of his parents 5 of the parts of his body, and 10 from Elohim: the bones, the reins, the nails, the brain, and the white of the eye come from the father. The mother gives him skin, flesh, blood, hair, and the pupil of the eye. Elohim gives him the following breath: soul, light of countenance, sight, hearing, speech, touch, sense, insight, and understanding. The abstract attributes of the rainbow, which is how we think and function. The powers that operate our body, our bag. When a human being honors his parents, Elohim says, "I consider it as if I had dwelled among men and they had honored me." But if people do not honor their parents, Elohim says, "It is good that I do not dwell among men, or they would have treated me superciliously." That's funny. Superciliously is treacherously. Treacherously is breaking promises. You know, they would not keep their promises and word towards me if they even seen me physically. So they would have treated me treacherously also. And what does that go with? As a wife runs away from her husband, treacherously departs from her husband. You break a promise with your husband and make a promise with another man. So the Most High said it was a good thing that he did not do that. You know, it is good that I do not dwell among men, or they would have treated me treacherously also. Elohim not only commanded to love and fear parents as himself, but in some respects he places the honor due to parents even higher than that due to him. A man is only then obliged to support the poor or to perform certain religious ceremonies if he has the wherewithal, if he has the ability to do so. But it is the duty of each one even to go begging at men's doors if he cannot otherwise maintain his parents. All right, so the same thing goes with maintaining your parents as well as your parents maintaining you having no parents. If you have no parents to maintain, or you had no parents to maintain you, you go forth begging, becoming a beggar. Of course, men work and things like that. But if you're talking about children, yeah, you go forth begging, or you might come on hard times. You could have no inheritance and things like that. And depending on your special case, you could be in captivity or in slavery, like I am now. you have no inheritance, so you go forth begging. Your parents have nothing to give you, or you just don't know your parents. So there's no inheritance, there's no protection or no support of anything of any kind for yourself or for them, depending on the special case. The sixth commandment said, O my people, Yashra'al, be no slayers of men. Do not associate with murderers, and shun their companionship, that your children may not learn the craft of murder. As a penalty for deeds of murder, Allahayim will send a devastating war over mankind. There are two divisions in Sha'ul, an inner and an outer, and the latter are all those who were slain before their time. There they stay until the course of the time predestined them is run. And every time a murder has been committed, Allahayim says, who has slain this person and has forced me to keep him in the outer Sheol, so that I must appear unmerciful to have removed him from earth before his time. So who's doing stuff out of check? Who's crossing lines? Killing people before their time, not giving a fuck. Your life is in my hands type of people. On the judgment day, the slain will appear before Allahayim and will implore him, O Master of the world, you have formed me, you have developed me, you have been gracious to me while I was in the womb, so that I left it unharmed. You in your great mercy have provided for me, O Master of the all worlds. Grant me satisfaction from this villain that knew no pity for me. Then Allahayim's wrath will be kindled against the murderer into Gehenna. Gehenna is a section of Sheol that is full of fire and torment and pain. So that's Gehenna. So it's not different than Sheol. It's the same. It's within Sheol. So in the heart of the earth. So Gehenna, that's exactly where everybody go that actually will burn up and that live terrible lives like murderers and stuff. So then Allahayim's wrath will be kindled against the murderer. Into Gehenna will he throw him and damn him for all eternity, while the slain will see satisfaction given him and be glad. So death and hell will give up the dead that are in them, and they will go into the lake of fire. So he's just going to throw hell and death into the lake of fire. So you probably still will be in Gehenna, but you'll also be in the lake of fire within Gehenna, burning and stuff, type stuff. All right. The seventh commandment says, O my people of Yashra'al, be not adulterers, nor the accomplices or companions of adulterers, that your children after you may not be adulterers. Commit no unchaste deeds with your hands, feet, eyes, or ears, for as a punishment, therefore, the plague will come over the world. This is the eighth commandment. Be not, sorry, be not thief, nor the accomplice or companion of thieves, that your children may not become thieves. As a penalty for robbery and theft, famine will come upon the world. Allahayim may forgive idolatry, but never theft. And he is always ready to listen to complaints against forgers and robbers. The ninth commandment reads, O my people, Yashra'al, bear no false witness, or do not be a liar against your companions. For in punishment for this, the clouds will scatter, so that there be no rain, and famine will ensue owing to drought. So you'll have no food, there'll be famine in the land, nothing to eat. And then just the same thing, not just food, but when you lie, there'll be a famine for truth. Being false witnesses, you won't have true witnesses, so you won't be able to know what the truth is, where you going, what direction you need to go. You dried out. So that's a double statement. There will be a famine in the land of food as well as truth. So there'll be no rain, no water, no truth. And famine will ensue owing to drought. Allahayim is particularly severe with a false witness because falsehood is the one quality that Allahayim did not create, but is something that men themselves produce. The content of the 10th commandment is, O my people Yashra'al, covet not the possessions of your neighbors, for owing to this sin will the government take their possessions from the people, so that even the wealthiest will become poor and will have to go into exile. The 10th commandment is directed against the sin that sometimes leads to a trespassing of all the 10 commandments. If a man covets his neighbor's wife, which is enviously desire, his neighbor's wife, and commits adultery and neglects the first commandment, I am the eternal, your Elohim. Or, you know, For he commits his crime in the dark and thinks, sorry, my eyes. He commits his crime in the dark and thinks that none sees him, not even the Master or the Most High Yah, whose eyes float over all the world and see good as well as evil. He oversteps the second commandment. So by breaking the 10th commandment, you start breaking all of the other commandments. Uh, you shall not have strange gods besides me. I am a jealous Elohim, who is wroth or angry against fatherlessness, whether towards me or towards men. He breaks the third commandment. You shall not take the name of Yahweh Elohim or the Most High Yah in vain, for he swears he has not committed adultery, but he did so. He is the cause of profanation. He is the cause of profanation of the Shabbat. The consecrate. Sorry, my eyes, man. I'm under attack. Forgive me, because there's a lot of people guilty of this. Give me a minute. The atmosphere. He is the cause of profanation of the Shabbat, the consecration of which Elohim commands in the fourth commandment, because in his illegal relation he generates descendants who will perform priestly duties in the temple on the Shabbat, which being bastards they have no right to do. The fifth commandment will be broken by the children of the adulterer, who will honor as a father a strange man, and will not even know their true father. He breaks the sixth commandment. You must not kill. You must not murder, rather. You must not murder. If he is surprised by the rightful husband, for every time a man goes to a strange woman, he does so with the conscience that this may lead to his death or the death of his neighbor. So before you even commit adultery, you know that if the husband finds out, it's going to lead to his death or your death. He's not going to ever calm down until you die if he find out. That's what you know for sure. So you live a runaway life or a hidden life the rest of your life. You guilty always. It ruins friendship type stuff. So again, it says, thou shalt not kill. You must not murder. If he is surprised by the rightful husband, for every time a man goes to a strange woman, he does so with the consciousness that this may lead to his death or the death of his neighbor or his friend. The trespassing of the seventh commandment, you must not commit adultery, is the direct outcome of a forbidden coveting. The eighth commandment, you must not steal, is broken by the adulterer, for he steals another man's fountain of happiness. The ninth commandment, you must not bear false witness or be a liar, is broken by the adulterous woman who pretends that the fruit of her criminal relations is the child of her husband. In this way, the breaking of the 10th commandment has not only led to all the other sins, but has also the evil effect that the deceived husband leaves his whole property to one who is not his son, so that the adulterer robs him of his possessions as well as of his wife. So I just wanted to stop there. That was a good read of the commandments and how things trickle down like that or connect like that. Coveting, you know, enviously desiring something that another man has leads to all of these things. But the main one they pointed out was adultery, because that's the main one. When a man sees something pretty, something he wants. So what does a man want more than anything that another man has? A beautiful woman. So that's always been the number one go-to. So he pointed out adultery, how you rob the man of his whole life, his wife, his future. You robbed him of his happiness. The children broke the fifth commandment by honoring a man that's not really their father. As I said, the fifth commandment will be broken by the children of the adulterer, who will honor as a father a strange man and will not even know their true father. See what America has done to people, So I just wanted to leave that with y'all, something to think about. Do you think that is a serious matter? Is something to give your life or sacrifice, or something to really go the distance on, to be brave about, to stop doing, committing adultery, breaking the commandments? Do you think it's worth sacrificing whatever you have in your life that you hold dear to you, that you consider precious, whatever it is? You have to really think about that, because what's more important, you know, leaving a stained world full of problems and fear and scariness, or living in peace and having a fair chance to make a decent life about yourself. So something to think about. Not only are the people affected, like the husband is affected, the wife is affected, the new man is affected, the children are affected. They don't know their father. They calling somebody daddy that's not even their father. Over, you know what I'm saying? It's fucked up. Another man raising your children, and then they grew up hating the real father, because the mothers do what? Lie to the children. She lies to herself as well. You know, it's all that mess, man. Living a whole lie. So all of these Ten Commandments are eventually penalties worthy of death, depending on special cases still, and how deep you go, or how far you go. Like, you can go so far but no further. You have to realize what you're doing. You could be ignorant and things like that, but you have to realize what you're doing, and you have to stop. But before you die, the Most High will kill you if a person don't. You be running for your life, thinking you're safe because everybody doing the same shit you're doing. But when the Most High catch up to you, he'll kill you, because your case was special by you doing this to an innocent man who did not do this back to you, and you robbed the man of his happiness. That was crazy. That turned out like a sad story or something. They said the breaking of the 10th commandment has not only led to all the other sins, but has also the evil effect that the deceived husband leaves his whole property to one who was not his son, so that the adulterer robs him of his possessions as well as of his wife. The nativity happened. When we came over here to come inhabit this land, the indigenous peoples, to serve the Most High, we were robbed. Covetousness, man. Come to a new land, people start coveting shit, start feeling emotions. Well, it's not really set in stone yet which pieces land to who, or what pieces belong to who. You start coveting, you start envying each other. Then you start taking people's wives and possessions and shit, raising them, you just start doing crazy shit. I like his portion of the land. So what I'm gonna do is take his wife and shit, all kind of crazy stuff. That's how Baltimore got like the way it got. People having sex with each other's girl and shit. Like, you keep having sex with everybody girl and shit. Everybody having sex with each other, not getting married. Covetousness. That's what got us in trouble. Go to Baltimore and just observe the people out there. Go to the East Coast, observe the people in New York, Baltimore, Philly, and then you'll know what happened to us. How we got fucked up. Ain't nobody serving the Most High, really. Just a select few people that you barely can find. So the story tells itself by how we live today. So if you want to know what happened, why people left India, why people left Assyria, and things like that, why people left the land of Canaan, Cush, now you know. And by observing them, or whatever the case. Y'all crazy. But then you have the good people too, like me. Why did you leave? And I gave you my personal story. My personal story tells the good parts of the people who, what happened and why they left. I don't know my parents. Even today, physically, I don't know my parents. I know who they are, but I don't know them, and they don't know me. We've never talked or sat down and talked, or we don't know each other. You know, so it's crazy, man. But with that said, I want to let it go. Shalom.